Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together and welcome Mr. Ashok Shetty.
Thank you for the introduction. Alright, I think the slides are up. Can I start playing it? Okay, good. Okay, so in this session we are going to talk about how a shift, or rather I should use the word a reset that somebody used early in the morning. That is redefining the insurance data landscape. So we'll talk about it a bit in detail, but before that I want to ask you a question. Not to get an answer from you guys, but to at least get you guys thinking about what I'm going to talk about. Alright, let's imagine that you are leading a data science team in a company where a bunch of data scientists and AI engineers are reporting to you. Given that, So given that you also have a competing team in another company where there are data scientists and let's say AI engineers who are also equipped with the same amount of tools, technology, they are also using the same big data cloud system, they are also equally skilled, they are good programmers, they are using the same Python packages, in fact they are using the same GPTs, right? So in this scenario, how would you outperform the team that is competing with you? As I said, I don't want an answer, but I want you guys to start thinking. Imagine that you are equipped with a bunch of tools and technology, that the other team as well is equally good. So what is going to give you a competitive edge over that team? How are you going to outperform them? Well, you may have a lot of answers, and I can assure that all those answers have one key element in common, and that is data. And when I say it's data, you may say that we already have a lot of data. We work, in our everyday work, we are processing a lot of data. Then how exactly that is, the answer. To which I'll send another, let's say, counter question that are we really utilizing all the data that we have in our decision-making process? The answer to that is no, because, or let's say, to a certain extent, according to McKinsey and a lot of other publishers, that 70% of the data that is generated or received by insurers are in the form of unstructured document or semi-structured document, which are not directly being used in any kind of decision making. So you can imagine insurers receiving a bunch of the documents that you can see, some of the categories have been listed, claims, loss reports, or policy words, and all of that. They are all in the unstructured format, right? So it is something that cannot be simply read by the machines, and that's why you can't simply link it to any of the relational tables and start extracting the content out of it. So this is one of the problems, which is about the 70% of the data that we are talking about. How about 30%, the remaining 30%? I have another question, there comes another problem. And let me ask another question. Is that data, okay, the font that you see probably, it's not picking up, but that's fine, you're not missing much. So the next question that insurers have is basically the remaining 30% of the structured data, is that enough for any kind of, let's say building the best model in the world? The answer to that, yes, it does to a certain extent again, but not good enough. Right? To give you certain context, element of context about what reinsurers or insurers in general face is basically they have a blind spot when they are reading about different kinds of losses that are occurring in the world, across the globe. So they may be aware, most of the knowledge that they have comes from within their portfolio, the losses that they're experiencing, the claims that they are receiving, right, which could just be around 5% of the overall global loss, right? So what about the 95% of the losses that are happening in the world? To depict, this particular scenario, I have these two images. The image to your left showcases all the man-made disasters experienced or observed by one of the insurers in a given period of time, right? And the circle, the size of the circle, the dots actually signifies, the intensity or the severity of the loss. And then, on the other hand, you see all the man-made disasters observed by all the insurers in that same time window. Now, if I ask you to build, let's say, two predictive models on these two, data sets, you can use the same package algorithms, right? Which one would perform better? It's a no-brainer. The one with the better data, or let's say more number of observations, will give you, let's say, additional advantage to not just validate your data against the real-world losses, But at the same time, you can also fine-tune or reparameterize your model by bringing in more additional knowledge from the observations that you're seeing. So let's see how exactly insurers are now trying to tackle this issue. Right? They have two big challenges, and we are going to now talk about how exactly insurers are doing, trying to tackle them. The very first, around 10, 12 years back, insurers very heavily relied on manual activities where they were going through these loss descriptions, claims documents manually, they were reading all the information. It used to take them days. And then came NLP technique, which was very basic because we were trying to build some model depending on the frequency of the words that occurred in a document, and we tried clustering the documents. And at least at a high level, we started deciding, okay, this is loss type A, loss type B, and like that, so on. This whole process got to a certain extent, empowered by the introduction of deep learning algorithms, and that's thanks to basically the big data boom that we observed around a few years back, where the computation power all of a sudden increased, and we could process more complicated algorithms and with on top of huge data sets. But what changed is basically somewhere around 2017, a research paper was introduced where the transformer architecture was introduced to the world, right? The T in transformer is the same T in GPT, right? And that architecture was picked up by some of the tech companies, and then they came up with ChatGPT, and you know the story later, right? So insurers were also not very far behind in terms of using these context-aware tools systems, because they knew that they have a big pile or big chunk of data lying on their cloud storages, which is not really being used at all in decision-making process. Because all the model that we spoke about, be it NLP or like 10 years back, and again deep learning algorithms, they had one key element missing. They did not really have the context. They were just simply trying to predict, let's say, the document type or the loss type purely based on the occurrence of the word. They used to attach some probabilistic numbers, scores to those documents, and then that's how the processing used to happen. But with the introduction of transformers, things changed. So let's look at how insurers are trying to tap into this entire, trying to, let's say, harness the power of Gen AI model. So what they're trying to do, they're using a series of machine learning model to classify different types of documents. These documents could be anything. Think of something that, the claims that you receive via an email. This email will have some content mentioned on the email body. It may have, let's say, attachment. This attachment can be a zip file which contains multiple folders, which will have a lot of Excel files. These Excel files will have a lot of tabs in them. One tab may contain multiple tables, right? And then comes PDF documents, text files, and whatnot, right? So we are receiving data in all possible file formats. So what they did, they came up with, let's say, a series of machine learning algorithms where they simply looked at the content in the email and they started classifying them and storing them in the right category. And then those documents were sent through a processing pipeline where they were systematically read, parsed, chunked, metadata tagged, and converted into embeddings. These embeddings are nothing but numeric representation of the text corpus that you read. Just a paragraph, converted that into a numeric format, which could be consumed by the model, machine learning or GPT models, to read and get the context and answer, produce the answer. And once these embeddings are created, they are stored in the vector database, they were exposed to Gen AI models, and Gen AI models started extracting entities and started storing them in a structured format in the form of rows and columns. So imagine a loss description which just simply talks about a flood in some area. Now, simply that description, that paragraph, all that information that we want to look at has been, they started extracting, the GPT started extracting all that information one by one and started storing that, the date of the loss, the location, the cause of the loss, and all of that. Okay, one key ingredient in this entire architecture is RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. And RAG actually keeps the AI, to basically the ground. Reality, it doesn't let it hallucinate. And that is the most important bit for all the insurers, because RAG provides very relevant chunks of information to GPT so that it doesn't go wander around, all that unrelevant information. So at a high level now we know that Gen AI is really good at reading from the document, summarizing all the information, and giving you the exact answer. But by design they are passive. They'll only respond to you when you send a prompt, right? And that's where things get interesting, and insurers are starting to now, they are trying to get agents or building the agentic layer to develop overarching layer to execute the task, one by one. So they are trying to introduce agents in different segments of their value chain, which takes the input from these GenAI models and then look at the details and tries and interacts with any external systems and executes the task with minimum or very limited human intervention. Yeah. So what does it mean for the insurers? So they are now, with the help of GenAI, trying to build very efficient early warning signals or early warning systems. And forward-looking views you can think of it something like socioeconomic factor, which doesn't really come directly in a form of table, right? You have to read a lot of factors, you have to understand what is social inflation in insurance. So they are trying and feeding all this information effectively from external sources and then trying and storing them in a relational table, which is then being used in the machine learning or let's say risk generation or predictive models. Okay, there are quite a lot of other things that insurers are doing, but let me just skip to the next one. Again, this is not some alien language. So whatever that we discussed so far, right? It won't be wrong to say that the unstructured data was never the problem. It was basically our ability to read from that unstructured data was basically the limitation. And now with the Gen AI shift or reset, insurers are trying to redefine everything, the way they looked at their data and trying to tap into this unstructured potential, which is a gold mine for them. So with that, I'll end the presentation. Thank you.